Comrades and friends, good day to you all. Well, this is Global Weekly News, serial number 21. The first item, peace agreement in Ethiopia. Somalia, Ethiopia, Kenya, Sudan, Eritrea, South Sudan, Uganda, and Djibouti. Well, these 8 countries in northeastern region of African continent constitute the Horn of Africa. Food insecurity, conflicts, clashes often take place in this region. In Ethiopia, Tigray People's Liberation Front. Tigray is a region in Ethiopia. Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, ruled Ethiopia for 27 years in an autocratic manner. TPLF government was supported by United States of America. Opposition parties and independent media were banned at that time. Due to demonstrations against the TPLF government in 2018, the TPLF government was overthrown and Abiy Ahmed became the Prime Minister. In 2020 November, TPLF launched a war against the Ethiopian government. Thousands of Ethiopian soldiers were killed. Government military armory was looted. Ethiopia has a population of 6 million. 600,000 Tigray people were used as cannon fodder in human wave attacks in this war, are said to have lost their lives. TPLF violated intermediary peace accords. On 7th November, senior leaders of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces and the rebel Tigray People's Liberation Front TULF met in Kenya's capital Nairobi to work out detailed modalities for disarmament for the TPLF commandants as per the peace agreement. Well, the peace agreement was signed between the Ethiopian federal government and the TPLF in South Africa's executive capital Pretoria on 2nd November, that is on the eve of the completion of 2 years of the civil war in northern Ethiopia. TPLF had started the war on 3rd November 2020. The agreement concluding this war requires the TPLF to be disarmed of all its heavy weapons within 10 days of the conclusion of the meeting at Nairobi on 10th November. The overall disarmament of the TPLF combatants, including light weapons, that should be completed by 2nd December. The agreement signed after a 10-day-long negotiation led by African Union. African Union has 55 African countries as its members. African Union is to promote unity, solidarity, and end all forms of colonialism. The United Nations had an observer status on the negotiating table, while the US described its status as both a participant and observer. The title of the agreement is Agreement for Lasting Peace through a Permanent Cessation of Hostilities. However, US State Secretary Antony Blinken did not acknowledge it as a peace agreement in his statement, which simply welcomed the signing of cessation of hostilities, omitting even the word permanent, which is included in the formal title of the agreement. Disarm TPLF has been a slogan of hundreds of thousands at peace demonstrations and rallies inside Ethiopia and by the Ethiopians living in United States and European cities, condemning the US and European support to the TPLF. Will TPLF participate in the elections and win seats? Well, that's a question mark. It's very doubtful. Will United States sabotage the peace agreement as usual? We will be following that. Comrades and friends, second, we go to Bolivia, Latin American country. Bolivia is a landlocked country in South America. Its capital, La Paz, is situated at an altitude of 13,313 feet above sea level. It's a very nice place. Another major city is in the plains. It is called Santa Cruz, having a population of 1.7 million. The far-right opposition in Bolivia's Santa Cruz department has been seeking to destabilize the socialist government of President Luis Arce using the population and housing census as a pretext. Over 1 million Bolivians mobilized in support of President Luis Arce's government on 25th August against the conservative opposition. Since 20th October, the conservative opposition sectors in Bolivia's Santa Cruz department have been organizing different protest actions against progressive President Luis Arce and the government of the ruling Movement Towards Socialism Party. Their primary demand is that the population and housing census be carried out in the first semester of 2023 and not in 2024. Since these protests began, the national government has been repeatedly calling on them to engage in dialogue. Nevertheless, the sectors have been rejecting all attempts of negotiation and insisted on this technically impossible demand. The far-right opposition leader and governor of Santa Cruz, Luis Fernando Camacho, called for an indefinite strike in the department to force the government to accede to the demand. The selective nature of the strike, which began on 22nd October, has however backfired. Since October 27, workers from diverse sectors in the department have been marching and organizing road blockades and factory blockades in rejection of the strike called by Camacho. In the face of widespread rejection from the people, Camacho, who promoted violent and racist demonstrations against the socialist government and the then President Evo Morales in October 2019, has once again resorted to violence. Far-right extremist groups and Camacho's supporters have been attacking those who have opposed the strike. On 1st November, President Luis Arce warned that the conservative opposition is seeking to repeat the 2019 coup by fomenting violence in the general strike in Santa Cruz. He warned the Camacho supporters. Under the circumstances, he called on the country's armed forces to safeguard the stability of the country and defend the constitution of Bolivia. In November 2019, the then Vice President Jeanine Anis illegally declared himself as the president. On 31st October of this year, thousands of people from various social and indigenous organizations marched to the capital of Santa Cruz from 4 different points, demanding that Camacho lift the strike and respect the right to work of the working class. Camacho contested for president's post on 10th November 2019 after the resignation of Evo Morales. He could get only 14% votes. Luis Arce, the Socialist Party candidate, won. In the regional elections in 2021, Camacho got elected as a governor of Santa Cruz, his native place. Formation of a left progressive government has many challenges indeed. Similarly, to protect the government from the reactionary rightist forces, that also have many challenges. Comrades and friends, we go to the new challenge which the humanity is facing, namely the climate change. The Conference on Climate Change, COP27, Conference of the Parties, COP27th World Conference on Climate Change is being held at Cairo, Egypt, capital city of Egypt, from 8th November to 18th November. Many Latin American leftist presidents like Nicolas Maduro, Gustavo Petro, and many other world leaders took part in the discussions of the conference. Many pointed out the irresponsible attitude of developed countries in discharging their duties of reducing green gas emissions and funding for the losses and damage to the developing countries due to drastic climate changes like drought, hurricanes, forest fires, rise in sea levels, etc. US and the rich nations of Europe emit much of the world's carbon and other green gases which degrade the environment. Though conference pledged to keep the average rise in world temperature below 1.5 degrees centigrade compared to the pre-industrial period. We now see a rise of 1.1 degree centigrade compared to the pre-industrial period. By the end of the century, the rise may be up to 2.5 degrees centigrade. This will lead to immersion of small and tiny islands into the sea. Rich people of very rich countries go to these small islands as pleasure trips but refuse to take any action towards reduction of emission of carbon dioxide and other green gases which degrade the environment. These small and tiny islands emit very limited carbon but face the worst climate changes. There is a group of islands called Tuvalu in the Pacific region. These islands are 13 to 15 feet above sea level. Many homes disappear in the coastal area. Pakistan and India have received widespread unprecedented rains this year. The worst climate scenario is not 30 to 50 years away. Challenges due to climate changes are real and immediate. The developed countries promised to donate $100 billion, that is 10,000 crore dollars, to the developing countries to change over to green energy and green technology. But promises are not kept up, promises are not implemented. Even if the developed countries allot some funds to the developing countries, these funds are given as debts or insurance premiums. That means the countries in crisis due to debts will see further intensification of the crisis. They have more and more debt burden. G7 countries, China, India, Pakistan, etc., emphasized that developed countries shall extend environment loss and damage fund without any further delay. Talks are needed at political level also. Comrades and friends, let us go to Pakistan, the neighboring country of India. A few months back, Pakistan received unprecedented rainfall. People are recovering from the damages after a few months caused by the floods. Health conditions got deteriorated. Now a political crisis has set in Pakistan. Imran Khan, the former Prime Minister, was defeated in a no-confidence motion in April of this year. Military sided with the opposition. After Imran Khan lost his power, economic conditions in Pakistan became worse. Inflation has increased to the high levels at the end of 1970s. In this background, Imran Khan conducted Padayatra, foot march, against the government. Many of his supporters also joined. There was an attempt to kill Imran Khan. However, he escaped with some injuries and had to cancel his march. However, one of his supporters lost his life in the attack. Imran Khan is demanding immediate elections. Those in power refuse to accept this demand since they are afraid of the election results. Both the government and Imran Khan led opposition, they believe the only IMF can rescue Pakistan from the crisis it is facing. This IMF path is harmful and will definitely not solve the crisis. There are no plans to accelerate industrial or agricultural development production. Imran Khan continued to mobilize the people against the government. Lastly, we go to World Cup football match at Qatar. International Federation of Association Football FIFA is going to World Cup matches going to conduct from 20th November in Qatar. The matches will continue for a month. The first match will be between Qatar and the Ecuador. Generally in Qatar, human rights are not respected. Thousands of migrant workers from various countries work in Qatar and their conditions are very pathetic. For conducting the World Cup matches, many large stadiums were built. 6,500 migrant workers, construction workers, died while in doing their duties. UATBB, International Construction Workers Federation, is exposing the ill treatment of migrant workers in Qatar construction sites. One can see demonstrations demanding boycott of the World Cup in UATBB Facebook. The Danish group competing in the Qatar World Cup match need jerseys with the slogan Human Rights for All. FIFA, Federation of Association Football, that has refused to permit this. Due to climate changes, World Cup matches will take place in winter instead of summer. Usually only in summer the matches will take place, but now since in summer temperature is too high, it is being conducted in winter. World football fans all over the world will be enjoying the matches played in Qatar for over a month. But the humanity shall neither forget nor forgive the government of Qatar for failing to protect thousands of migrant workers' lives. Thank you, comrade, for your patient listening. We will continue next week. Until then, see you. Bye bye. Welcome.